I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. We had a breakthrough over the weekend to the point where Dusty came out here multiple times to just watch plants grow, and this is one of my favorite plants. This is Vallisneria. I've got like 3 or 4 types of Val in here, but I want to give you some context of a problem that I've had for multiple years with this plant, and I think I finally figured it out, and here it goes. Vallisneria comes from all over the world, with the exception of, I think, Africa. It's all over Asia, it's in Europe, it's in North America, it's in South America, it's everywhere, right? I've had it, I've grown it as leopard Val out in a basin, I've grown it as jungle Val out in a basin, but I've always had it come with this like stunted, shorter growth, and it grew. But when people buy Val, they want nice, tall, long Val. The other problem with Val is that it melts. So I was able to grow it, and I was able to grow it short, but I was never able to grow it tall. And I finally figured it out, and the answer is very simple. The Vallisneria likes water flow. I failed at this for years, okay? I had it outside in an 8-foot by 8-foot basin. I had it growing in full sun. I had it in too much sun where it was growing short and red. Then I shaded it, and it was kind of growing a little bit taller, but it had no flow. What does water flow give you? Water flow gives you, as in this nerdy scientific paper I was reading about it that was a little too thick, DO, dissolved oxygen, okay? And the presence of dissolved oxygen and water flow, they did an experiment on it, exponentially grew the heck out of Vallisneria more. The purpose of the paper I was reading was to grow Val so that it could grow through like the stagnant, basically bad bacteria conditions with stagnant water. And the answer is simple, the answer is water flow. So last week, a week from filming this, we planted the heck out of this, and we have this basin above it. And what I have done is I have added water flow. This is the Seachem 600, I think, and I absolutely love the results that I'm seeing because this was just recently planted. I've got this Val right here growing, and I went against my one major rule. It's a very simple rule, and the rule is this. What would Mother Nature do? I've collected this plant in the Sandusky Bay in Lake Erie, near where I grew up as a kid on the water in my homelands. I've seen this growing in Presque Isle underwater in between a canal. And both of those places had one thing in common. They had water flow. They had lots and lots and lots of water flow. And it makes sense because all of these long growing plants like water flow. Vallisneria, Crenum are from Africa, but the same deal. And the same thing with Apongatons. You can take a Madagascar lace. They have the holes in their leaves because they blow like crazy when they're going, and that actually helps them. Vallisneria loves, loves, loves water flow, particularly giant Val, which by the way, we sell a ton of giant Val. This stuff is growing like crazy here. This stuff is growing like crazy here. This is growing like crazy here. So for me, I want to sell a tall green Val. So it gets longer very quickly with more water flow. Without the water flow, but with high light, it'll send off the short runners. But with the water flow, it gets a little taller. This is being filmed at the very end of May. I've got like 2 weeks left until we hit the summer solstice, i.e. I'm in a rush to see how fast I can plant a bunch of this and get it to grow as quickly as possible while I have from 6 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night sunlight. Then everything goes downhill from there. But super duper duper excited about the Vallisneria. I'm gonna kick this on just to show you the amount of flow I've got. But I think it's worth just pointing out the length of the Val. I don't have a good before on this, but the growth that we're seeing back here with this stuff, up here with this, even the stuff that's floating is doing well. Val, good Val there, good Val there. And here's the amount of water flow. It's gonna take a second. This is the setup here. Pump is in a cage. The water kicks on, pump goes up. Up here, I'm also doing experiments. I'm like, okay, how much water flow and light does Val want? I put these up here. Too much light, okay? These are coming back, they're growing in red. This is not working. They weren't great to begin with. I trimmed them back. They're getting too much light, but they're in high water flow. So I'm like, I'm gonna experiment with the water flow. That's Val byanthus over there. And oh, by the way, our friend Java Moss likes a little bit of water flow too. So these actually need to be moved down. They've been up here for a week. They haven't responded well, so we're gonna put them low because down here is working. So you try one thing up there, that didn't work, but we've got the water flow kicking on here. That's the water flow. And then now I'm experimenting with how much water flow until I get a diminishing return. Like, in other words, like when there's too much flow, they won't grow as well. But right now, these suckers are rolling, coming along real strong with that water flow there. And another thing too, I believe this will benefit us with the inevitable melting back of Vallisneria. So excited to see just kind of how much of the Val we can keep it from melting too, because that's the other part of it. It's a fantastic seller but it melts back. You got to sit on it. Well, if I can get more VAL and more water flow, the water flow will help it not melt or not melt back as bad and come back faster. But we are seeing tremendous results with water flow. I've got it going on right here. Giant VAL seems to be the most beneficial, and it makes sense. You've seen pictures of this growing in the wild in like shallow water, but it's zooming. So super pumped about that.